Good evening. Welcome to the May 14th, 2018 Board of Trustees meeting. Before tonight's meeting commences, I'd like to ask everybody to stand for a moment of silence, remembering all the brave men and women who served this great nation of ours. I'll then pledge allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first up, roll call attendance.
Bartolotta. Here. Birch. Here. Camilleri. Here. Healy. Absent. Julia. Here. Thomas.
Here.
Wall.
Here. Next up is to approve tonight's agenda, May 14th, 2018.
I would like to make a motion first to amend the agenda, and there are actually three items. Item number 7.3 we are removing from the agenda. We are adding 7.11, a liquor license transfer for 4724 Dixie Highway. And then finally, on item number 8.2, it currently reads, consideration of a confidential attorney-client privileged or settlement agreement. It should say consideration of a confidential attorney-client privileged case evaluation in the matter of Charter Township of Waterford versus McCaw. So I make a motion to amend the agenda in those ways.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? There are none. Now I'll need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? There are none. Okay, under announcements. Visit the Poetry Leaves exhibition throughout the month of May. Poems will be displayed indoors in the atrium at Town Hall, outdoor in the medium between the boulevard across from the library, and indoors throughout the library. The library will be closed Friday, May 25th through Monday, May 28th, the extended Memorial Day weekend. The library is always closed on Friday, and traditionally we observe the holiday closing Sunday and Monday. The addition of Saturday this year is to accommodate the final steps in the process of migrating the library system software. For more information, don't hesitate to call 248-674-4831. Waterford Township offices will be closed on Monday, May 28, 2018, in observance of the Memorial Day holiday. As always, emergency services will be available during this administrative closure. Board of Trustees' regularly scheduled meeting the week will be moved to Tuesday, May 29, 2018 at 6 p.m. as posted. Our Heart of the Lakes VFW Post 1008 will again be hosting the annual Waterford Memorial Day Parade on Monday, May 28, 2018. The parade begins 10 a.m. sharp, Dixie Highway at Sashabar, and proceeds north on the Dixie to the intersection of Walton Williams Lake Road. A memorial service is held immediately following the parade in the Drayton Plains Cemetery. Anyone wishing to participate in the parade should call the VFW Post, ask for Donna Kelly, no later than May 15th at 248-674-2826.
So that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the deadline. Parade will be 2 weeks from today. The Waterford Lakes Association meeting will be held on Thursday, May 31st, right here in the auditorium at 7 p.m. Topics will include a discussion on lake boards and lake water management. So if you live on a lake, don't hesitate to show up. It's open to the public. It's a biannual meeting. They have one every spring and every fall. So this past Saturday, the United States Postal Service Stamp Out Hunger Drive And Waterford has always been a very, very generous giving community, and I know the last, I believe, 6 years that my wife was at the post office, the Waterford Carrier Annex led the Midwest 8 states in food collected for that Stamp on Hunger. Well, this year, they shattered their all-time record and collected 140,000 pounds. That's 70 tons of food that they collected from Waterford Township, just Waterford Township. And again, that speaks volumes to the generosity of the people in our community. So that was giving it up for the post office. Why don't you show yourself a round of applause one time? Okay, under awards and presentations, certificate of achievement for Josh Dorman and Chris Webster, Waterford Regional Fire Department.
Thank you, Gary, and the Township Board. We have two firefighters here that have excelled at their jobs, and they have gone the extra mile. And these two have completed their bachelor's degrees. And all this while taking care of children, running a family, and all the responsibilities of the fire department. So I want to recognize them, Josh Dorman, Battalion Chief. Firefighter Chris Webster.
Congratulations. I just wonder by any chance that movie Back to School motivated you to go back and get your bachelor's degree? Did by chance? No?
I'm no Rodney Dangerfield.
Next up, we have the Smart Bus presentation.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Good afternoon, or good evening. I'm Robert Kramer, I'm the Deputy General Manager, and beside me, hopefully by the time I finish my presentation, will be our Oakland County Ombudsman, Madonna Van Fossen. She's probably more familiar face to you around these parts. I'm going to give a brief presentation about community transportation in Waterford Township, about what SMART is, how the SMART system works.
Speak into your microphone so everybody can hear you.
Okay, I appreciate the feedback. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Robert Kramer, Deputy General Manager at SMART, and I'm going to give a brief presentation about community transportation in Waterford, which will include some information about the SMART system, a little bit of history, and some of the situation that's going on here in Waterford Township, and then I guess I'd welcome any questions or inquiries from the trustees, or this could be the start of a conversation about your program and how SMART maybe could help. So without further ado, first a little bit of the history lesson. I always wanted to be a professor, so I'll give it a shot. SMART's been around for over 50 years now. We originally were around as SEMTA, that might be a more familiar name to some of the faces in this room. We evolved into SMART in 1989. That's the same time that TDOT was also formed as part of the city's bus system. This is Madonna Van Fossen, as promised, our Oakland County Ombudsman. In the mid-90s, after a decade or two of changes in the way the federal funding was doled out across the country for public transportation, SMART was in need of of local funding. Up until that point, it was all federal and state funding that was paying for SMART system. In the mid-90s came the point where the system basically would have to shut down if it did not have some local funding. At that point, using Public Act 196 authorities, the Oakland and Wayne County each formed an authority. SMART is not a taxing authority, so they needed some way to levy a tax, and they sent it along to SMART to provide the full range of services. And in Oakland and Wayne counties, they decided to do that by 196 authority, which basically allows each community to decide if they want to be a member of the authority or not. And at that point, 1995, you have basically the communities that are in and out today were formed at that point. Everyone decided that I'm in or I'm out. And those are the communities that are taxed and provide the property tax millage to their authority, who then gives it to SMART for our full range of services. SMART does have a number of other roles, even in areas that don't contribute local dollars, and I'll talk about those in a moment, but just wanted to kind of frame the history here. So our main service area of the full services, 76 communities across the 3 counties, it's over 1,100 square miles. Our ridership's about 10 million rides per year. 70% of our riders are going to work, another 20% are going to some form of school. So in Oakland County, you can see here on the map, Waterford Township is basically exactly in the center of the county, as I'm sure you're aware. It's right on the edge of these light blue communities that are the ones that do provide local dollars for the full array of services, and the lighter yellow beige communities that are out, but again, still have a presence from SMART in one form or another. Just a brief tidbit for those communities that do pay in, they get about $1.78 in service for every dollar of tax revenues. It's basically the 78 cents extra is the other dollars that are leveraged. We give everything proportionally back to the counties the same way it comes into us. There's no reassigning to other counties. So each county gets $1.78 for their property tax contribution. So when people ask me to describe what SMART is all about, I like to describe it as transportation layers. So we have multiple layers of transportation. This is the opposite of a one-size-fits-all solution. All of those 76 communities and the opt-outs that we also have a role in are all different. They'll have different residents, different businesses, different needs and challenges, and all that sort of stuff. So the lion's share of our budget and our ridership is a fixed route bus. What that means is there's a route, it's fixed. It doesn't change, it has a schedule that's set. You can count on the bus performing that schedule, and you can take it where you need to go. Within that subset, there's a number of different types of fixed route bus. So we have kind of our arterials, which is the major corridors. It has the most frequency, the most buses. It runs later at night. We also have park and ride routes that are basically just, they go downtown Detroit in the morning, come back out in the afternoon. They have a couple select runs, and they only make just a few stops. So they use the freeway generally to make it a quick trip. And then we have our new FAST service, which stands for Frequent Affordable Safe Transit, and that's on 3 corridors, Gratiot, Michigan, and Woodward. That's 7 days a week from end to end, and it has limited stops along the way, so it creates a faster riding experience than traditional fixed route transit. The next layer is our Smart Connector system. These are the small buses that are similar to the ones that Waterford operates for their service, but they're operated by SMART. So if you call SMART's 866 hotline and you want to schedule a connector trip, it's a curb-to-curb service. It's operated by SMART, like I said. It is advanced reservation, so you have to reserve it at least 2 days ahead of time. If we do have a situation where we can't meet all the trips, we prioritize medical appointments above other kinds of trips. Because that is the lion's share of the people who use that system are usually going to medical appointments or grocery shopping, things that really lend to their daily quality of life. The ADA Paratransit is a required service that stands for Americans with Disabilities Act. Basically, this is a situation where you become certified, and if you have a disability where that disability prevents you from being able to use the fixed route, we're required by the ADA to provide you an equivalent trip from door to door. So what this means is if you're living in an area that's within 3/4 of a mile of a fixed route bus, and if you were able-bodied and your disability didn't prevent you from using the bus, and you're going somewhere that the bus would take you, but you can't because of your disability, then we'll provide you that door-to-door service to replace that trip. So what that could mean is if you lived in Pontiac and you could get to the bus, and we also have a route that goes to the airport in Romulus, we will have to reproduce that trip for you if you can't make the trip due to your disability. So the next layer of service is our community partnership program. This covers a number of different programs, including programs like Waterford's here. Generally speaking, the community partnership program was born out of that millage. Remember I said in the mid-90s we had to start collecting local dollars. We wanted to make sure we could be as responsive as possible to the local needs of each community and empower them to make some decisions about their solutions. So the CPP program in the opt-in communities is supported by returning a portion of the millage proceeds to that community and then providing from SMART administrative support, service design, vehicle maintenance, vehicle procurement, all the things that we can do to help each of those communities run their program to the greatest level possible. In areas that are opt-out, they still get the municipal credits, as you guys are well aware. The opt-ins get community credits on top, which are similar. They're usually about double the level of municipal credits, so it boosts the funding available for your program. And then I also mentioned we have a role in other communities that are outside of the opt-ins, so we also are the agency designated by the state that administers a number of federal state dollars across Oakland, Macomb, Wayne, and also in Monroe County as well. So these are just a little, the upper left corner is a picture of our connector bus. The upper right is an example in the city of Berkeley of one of the community transit vehicles. And then the bottom right is the new fast bus, which has a different look on the outside to call out attention to it. So some of the benefits that SMART provides to the region and to each community is improved access to regional workforce. We have a lot of employers that are sharing with us difficulties having access to employees, right? Unemployment is low, which is a great thing, except for it's a challenge for businesses that have a difficult time finding employees. We do have a new fleet of buses. One of our promises in our last millage cycle was that we had to replace our fleet, and we made the last order to do that, so we've got new buses on the road or on the way. We've been working on some new mobility technology to try to enhance the driver experience, or rider experience, but also to improve safety. And as I mentioned before, we work with communities to develop different CPP services, and Madonna can tell you that we've been spending over a year now trying to help Pontiac rekindle their CPP program. They did eliminate it when they had their financial downturn a few years ago. We've been stepping in and providing it for them, but they're eager to get back in the game as far as running that out of the city program again. So, there's many layers to public transit. It's not just buses. There's different types of bus service, and a customized approach is important for each community. So a few more quick slides to frame the SMART in Oakland County. This map just shows, again, if you remember the first map, it's basically the lower right corner of the county are the opt-in communities, but you can see from this graphic that there are rides we're supporting and vehicles we're supporting in communities at all corners of the county, including Waterford. One example of a community that is currently an opt-in community, Farmington Hills. You can see on the map here, there are just two communities to your south. They do have two park and ride routes that go downtown. They have multiple local bus routes connecting them to hospitals and other destinations in the area. They obviously take advantage of the SMART Connector service. They have a citywide dial ride service operated by SMART. Again, that was something that's unique to Farmington Hills, responding to their individual needs. And then their community transit is a joint program with the city of Farmington, and it's run through the senior center. West Bloomfield Township, your neighbor to the south, they have one park and ride route that goes downtown, some local bus routes connecting, again, hospitals and other destinations. There's some crosstown routes providing access to southern parts of Oakland and Macomb counties. And then they have their Parks and Recreation Department is where they run their local program. So just a little bit of information about Waterford. If you look at places where people who live in Waterford work, it's actually really spread all around the region. But some of the top communities here, you can see Auburn Hills, Troy, Pontiac. Those are all areas that could be connected with some sort of bus route. If you look at employment data, you can see here the two orange lines are M59 and US 24. Obviously, those would be areas where you could potentially see a concentration that could support fixed routes that could connect those corridors to the rest of the SMART system. Again, so, providing connections for employers and people needing to get to work. So some of the changes in these, I'm sure you guys have heard this a million times, so I'll go over it pretty quickly, but the senior population is expected to double really in the whole region. And really that's going to force SMART as working on the regional transportation to try to make sure that we can come up with cost-effective and efficient solutions to get these seniors where they need to go. This is just a few ideas that you could use to mix the recipe, right? Obviously, if there's a local funding involved, you can talk about park and rides, fixed routes, small buses, and also the millage for community credits. Right now, you get about $70,000 in municipal credits every year. Generally speaking, the community is double on top of that, so you get another 140 for municipal credits, in addition to other programs that could be created. So that's kind of the overview of SMART, how we work in the community. I guess really we're here tonight to see if there's any questions we could ask or answer about how we can make your program better, whether you are an opt-in or an opt-out. We really just want to make sure people can get where they need to go as effectively as possible across the region. So I appreciate the time. Madonna, do you have anything else to add?
I did bring, and I apologize for being late, I brought some information that I just will bring up to you on the board.
The microphone, they can't hear you.
I did bring some information, and Robert covered all of these. It's a brochure about the FAST brochure, it's a postcard about our app. There's a resource guide with the basic information. This is a program, the bus tracker system, that you can be at a bus stop and download the app on your phone and find out exactly where your bus is. EDA service, the connector service, and the Get a Job, Get a Ride program. Robert talked about the employment. So we have a program with employers when they're registered with SMART, and it's a very simple application process, that if an employee is going to be utilizing the bus service to get to their job, we will give them a free 31-day bus pass so they can work out their transportation issues. So I just wanted to leave this, and I can just leave it here, so you can all have some extra reading. And one other thing, when Robert talked about, when he showed the slide with the population changing, and they anticipate that in 2030 it's going to double, I read an article recently that the mayor of Pleasant Ridge, he had done all kinds of research regarding specifically Oakland County compared to the state and the region. And while they're forecasting in 2030 it will double for the state of Michigan, in 2020, based on the information that he looked at, and he has the tables to substantiate it, so if you wanted that article, I could find it and email it to you. But in 2020, he called it the silver tsunami is going to hit Oakland County. So we are actually going to be 10 years before the state with our senior population doubling.
Does anybody have any questions for Robert or Madonna?
I do have one. You had mentioned the ADA paratransit program. Is that available here in Waterford if we need it as an opt-out community?
So the way the ADA, it's a little bit nuanced, but the ADA is only providing an equivalent to a fixed route. So even in areas that are opted in, if you don't have a fixed route that's near where you live, then it wouldn't apply.
Anybody else? The part where you were talking about for every dollar you put in, you get $1.78 back, or an additional 78 cents. And again, where does that money come from?
So, and I wanted to keep it brief, so I didn't talk too much about how the different budget works. But basically, the 78 cents are there's state dollars and federal dollars that come into our system, and generally they are they're generated by the local dollars, right? So when you're spending local dollars on the transportation, you can leverage state dollars and federal dollars that come to the region as a result of that investment. So that's the 78 cents on top of the dollar is state and federal funds. For transit, they're transit dollars.
So it's
Yes.
federal transit dollars, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I did think of something else. On the ballot in November, most likely there will be a regional transit authority millage. And I'm wondering how you fit in the picture with them.
Sure, so based on the plan that they have on the street, so to speak, right now, most of the plan actually results in them taking the dollars generated and using it to pay for the incremental increase to a number of routes that SMART and DDOT and Ann Arbor system already operate. So basically they would be taking those dollars and when they want to increase frequency on a 15-mile route that we have, they'd be paying for the incremental increase of that route. They also have some other services that they've put in place that would be above and beyond that. They're talking about a commuter rail between downtown Detroit and Ann Arbor, and some other services. But that would be our role. Is obviously they're not going to be a new provider. We would still be ones that were putting most of the service on the street. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
And again, most of the stuff that we see in presentations that MTA is going to stop short of Waterford Township. It's not coming any farther north. We're dead center of Oakland County, north, south, east, west. It's come up to Pontiac, and I had hoped that it would at least come through the M59 and Dixie Highway corridors, but the last meeting I saw, and that was in March. That was stopping in Pontiac. It wasn't coming any further west.
Yeah, the current map, they have their public comment period is open on the official plan, and that map does not show any service west of Pontiac.
Right, yeah, and so, as far as benefiting us, I guess if you're able to get to Pontiac, park and ride, it would benefit you, but I don't see it as a benefit to Waterford Township in that regard. So that said, our current Smart Bus programs through the Waterford School District at the Senior Center, and they recently cut back to 3 days a week to help, save money and stuff. And eventually that program, I believe, with the school district is going to go away. I've never got a date or a time or anything, but they cut back and it's going to go away. So we've devoted a lot of time to try and find out what it's going to take for our community, because again, it's an essential service, so we understand that. But the last number I got in the school district is about $190,000 a year, of which Waterford Township contributes $40,000. Okay, so that's leaving us another $150,000 we have to come up with. And there's funding that comes, from the state and federal. There's grants, there's credits, there's fees, there's all that stuff. But eventually, you get all that stuff, if it all works out, we're still $48,000 short. And again, I just look at the budget people over there, they're not cringing, they're smiling at me, but the bottom line is, we're looking at a projected deficit for 2018, and to try and come up with more money in a backwards direction, that's not ideal. So we're trying to find ways to generate revenue and make this happen, short of putting it back on the ballot for a Smart Bus millage, which got defeated, I'm going to say several years ago. I don't remember the date, but it got defeated. But it may come to that. I don't know. But the bottom line is, it's an essential service, especially for our senior population. And again, as is Oakland County, Waterford Township senior population is growing, and it's a big part of our community. So that's where we're at on that. But again, we're working on numbers right now. We've had meetings with you guys before to find out what the actual cost is, what the services are, what kind of impact it's going to have on our community, and just how big we can take the program to make it work. So,
right. And we're happy to continue to be part of the discussions. If there's any way we can help, again, whether Smart Village is part of the solution or not, as I mentioned, we're really here to make sure we can help in any way that we can. The communities that are in Smart enjoy the maintenance is something we take care of. Obviously, we've kind of stepped into Pontiac where they couldn't find a way to operate their own service, and then our connector kind of lays on top, which can help relieve some of the service challenges. But certainly, like I mentioned, we also do look for available grant dollars, even for communities like Waterford, and we'll continue to do that and continue to be at the table to help you as you move forward.
okay. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned also the, I think it was the connector curbside service. Does that mean going to somebody's house and picking them up in front of their house and then dropping them at whatever their chosen destination is.
Right, so the connector service, all of the connector service is a curb to curb, right? So we actually will go to your house, very few exceptions, like if you live on a dead-end street because we can't turn around. But for the most part, we'll go right up to the curb of your house. If you have a situation where you actually need someone to come up to the door, that's something you can request, and we honor that when we can on a case-by-case basis. But it is basically a point-to-point destination. So if you're going to dialysis or you're going to the grocery store, we'll come to the curb of your house, and then we'll take you to the front door of wherever you need to go.
So I really don't envision SMART coming in here and putting in fixed routes for us. That wasn't on your plan last time around. If we were to opt in, would we be able to specify that we wanted this type of service, curb to curb?
So all of the communities that opt into SMART all get connector service at a minimum. So you can go up to 10 miles from wherever you go, so it can take you, 10 miles afield, it can connect you to fixed routes. And that's available to the general public too. It's not just senior and disabled, so it can be any age. And so the connector is available to all the communities when you opt in. If there's some other specialized solution, so like in Farmington Hills, they had a need for same-day dial ride. And they said, how can we change the mix of services we have in Farmington Hills so that we have a separate service so that people, if they need to be able to call and get someplace where the bus will come pick them up within an hour, they'd be able to do that. And so Farmington Hills and Farmington have that program. And also wouldn't totally rule out the possibility of fixed routes. It might not be that they're running every 10 minutes or on every street, but some fixed route that connects your commercial corridor on M59 over to Pontiac to connect to the rest of the system might be very useful for your residents and also for people that might need to come out to Waterford for jobs.
And what is the fare on the connector?
So the connector is $4 each way, and this is regardless of distance for the general public. For seniors and disabled, it's only $1. And I can tell you, because I know how much it costs us to provide those trips, it's an incredible value. And each of those vehicles also is lift equipped as well. So if you have any mobility challenges as far as getting up into a vehicle, they all have lifts that can get you wheelchair, walker, whatever it is, up into the vehicle safely.
So what does it mean if Waterford wants to be an opt-in community? Is that some fixed number, some fixed millage?
Yeah, so basically, for Waterford to opt in, you would need to become a member of that Public Act 196 I mentioned earlier. They're called the OCPTA, Oakland County Public Transportation Authority. And basically, you become a member. Once you're a member, then you are taxed whatever the millage is that they decide, which has to be the same number. And what's they've approved to be on the ballot this year would be 1.0 mils, and that's for 4 years.
And this is an opt-in, opt-out choice every 4 years? Is that what you're saying then?
Well, so the opt-in, opt-out choice is actually, so you guys, the elected boards of the communities, are the ones that decide if you are in or out of as far as your membership goes.
Mhm.
So if you want to opt out, you can decide that you're going to leave the membership of the group, and then the next time that it's up, you won't be on the ballot anymore. When you are a member, you vote as a block with the rest of the county, and so if you're a member and the vote goes yes or no, the whole authority gets the millage or not. But you can join or leave as a community whenever you want. That's kind of a separate decision is what I'm trying to say.
I understand.
Right.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, our current Smart Bus program that we have through the Waterford Senior Center, who designed that?
I believe, I don't know who designed that back in the late 90s. I'm guessing that it was Waterford and the Senior Center.
Okay.
But as I mentioned, we'd be happy to help you redesign if you need to cut the cost or redesign or redeploy the resources. We're a partner for every community in the 4-county region, and we'd be happy to work with you to see if there's a way we can trim your costs and still provide services too. That's something that we're here to help all the communities with.
The reason I ask that, because the general consensus I hear from the public, and when I talk to people, that service works pretty good. And so I wouldn't want to start right out redesigning that service and create problems. So is it something that if we did take it on, that we can continue like it is. I mean, it's already in place.
You mean if you opted in?
Yes.
Yeah. If you opt into Smart, you'll get all the stuff I mentioned, and you'll keep the Waterford, your own Waterford. It'll be your drivers, the vehicles with your name on the side. You'll just get more money, because you'll get the community credits will add to your municipal credits. So instead of 70 in municipal credits, you'll get 70 plus another 140 in community credits that goes right to the program that you're designing and you're deciding what you want to do. So you can keep it exactly how it is, or if you get community input that says you want to have, extra service every Thursday, then you can change it to do what you want to do. And we're here along the way to help you figure out how much that will cost and what's the best way to make that happen.
Okay, that said, flip side of the coin, came up tails this time. We don't opt in, we continue on like we are right now. Because I'm looking at the current program, 190,000, and 1 mil is $1,022,416, I think. So that's a lot more money. That's like better than 5 times the amount of money we generate, and I don't need it. We need that extensive of a bus service. So again, and then we're going to put in, $1,022,416, and then get another 78 cents back on each dollar on top of that. We'll be closing in on $2 million. That would be quite the bus service, it would seem like.
Right. The 78 cents on top is a county-wide number, so it doesn't necessarily mean that we make sure every community gets the full 78 cents back. But we would work to address whatever, so the dial-a-ride, the connector service, whatever we can provide to you in the way of service. Unfortunately, the way that the authority is set up is either you're in for the number or you're out. We don't have the ability to say, well, this community is going to be 0.2, this community is going to be 2.4, and whatever number is necessary. The authority has one rate, and if you're a member, you get levied, and if you're not, you don't.
Again, like I said, it's just, that's generated an inordinate amount of revenue. My experience has been in the past, and I'm not picking on Smart or anybody, but there's a lot of communities that generate a lot of revenue and it doesn't come back their way. So if we could get 7 or 8 cents on the dollar, I would consider that, that's 7 or 8% return on your money. That I would consider that good. I'd like to get 78%, but then again, we start kibitzing back and forth. And like I said, I look at the tax revenue of the state of Michigan that comes from townships, and the tax revenue of the state of Michigan comes from cities and villages. And it's about as lopsided as you can get, but the available funding to townships isn't there like it is for the cities and villages. So that's where my concerns come from. And I'm not crying the blues or saying because we're the township, we're the underdog, or we're being pegged on. It's just a reality. That's the way it works. So again, like I said, if we could maintain a program like we have somewhere right now that works, maybe just expand it, but it's necessitated.
Right.
I would be more in favor of that. But the $64,000 question is, where does the funding come from? So, okay. Anybody else?
I guess if I can just add one more thing, there's a
One
lot
more
of
thing.
people, a lot of people sitting here today who are here because of this very issue. And their concern is that we've heard the rumor in June that bus service is stopping and they have no way to get to the store, they have no way to get to the doctor's office or anywhere else that they want to go. What we want to do is somehow create something as quickly as we can to reinstate this service that the school district is abandoning. We are exploring lots of options. I don't know if Smart's going to be part of our resolution. At the very least, of course, the municipal credits will be. But our first concern right now is to keep some sort of curbside service for these seniors who have relied on all these years, and the rug is just getting pulled out from under them right now.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. We appreciate it.
Really appreciate the time. I have copies here, and you have it on your computer now too, so
Okay. Good.
I'll leave them just in case. Thank you.
Thank you. citizen to address the board, Chris Schumacher.
It's,
Stand or you can sit with
no,
me.
it's okay, it's pretty short.
Okay.
And it's Chris Shoemaker. I live on River Drive, and it's Shoemaker in Waterford. And I'm here tonight as a member of the Advocates for the Waterford Senior Center. Our group has been recently formed to support the center and find solutions to the recent cutbacks in service at the center and to the seniors who rely on those services. Tonight I want to address the problem of senior and disabled persons transportation in Waterford and the fact that it is scheduled to come to an end on June 30th. As of this date, we have over 600 riders in our community who are dependent on the senior smart buses for all of their transportation needs. I've been a volunteer at the Waterford Senior Center for more than 25 years. I've invested interest in the future of both the center and the seniors who depend on it for so many things. I currently deliver Meals on Wheels one day a week and work one afternoon as a support person in the office. I recently had the opportunity to fill in for the senior bus dispatcher while she was out on medical leave. My job was to handle incoming calls, requesting rides, scheduling rides, send information to new riders, and make sure that the drivers had the routes for the day. During the month that I worked in the office full-time, I began to realize how many people in our community depend on the senior smart bus service and to understand their stories. Currently, the program is scheduled to end on June 30th. When the buses are gone, there are going to be life-changing consequences for many seniors and disabled persons in Waterford. These riders depend on the bus service for medical appointments, which we've already talked about, dialysis, physical therapy, hospital, groceries, trips to the senior center for activities and to share a meal with friends. The bank, the hairdresser, and some of our riders to their place of employment. In addition, we make regular trips to subsidized housing locations in Waterford, including Lakeland Place, Whispering Woods, and the Meadows. Without the bus service, these people are going to lose the only way they have available to get around town. In addition, our Encore adult daycare program depends on the bus service to bring people to the center in the morning and take them home in the afternoon. This program gives area families a break from having to be at home taking care of a family member all day. Because many of the people in the adult daycare program use a wheelchair, it is not possible for their family to transport them to the Waterford Senior Center. Between July of 2016 and June of 2017, there were 643 registered riders. Those rides translated into 7,500 trips, covering about 50,000 miles. Approximately 1,100 of those rides were for a wheelchair-bound rider. The riders pay $3 per ride each way. SMART has provided the Senior Center with 3 14-passenger vehicles with wheelchair lifts. The fees paid by the riders cover 11% of the expense of the program. 42% is paid through the Senior Center General Fund, with SMART funding the remaining 47% with municipal credits and specialized services. The Senior Center is responsible for insurance, gas, regular maintenance, and repair costs. Currently, our buses are aging, and they're aging badly. And the repair costs are higher than usual. Before the service was scheduled to end, there was a grant available for 2 new buses that were supposed to be delivered this spring. But because of the cancellation of the transportation program, it was determined that the Senior Center could not take delivery of the new buses. While we are being told that the decision to end the bus service in Waterford is due to a shortage in the Senior Center budget, it seems like there should be a way to keep the bus service going until a better arrangement can be made to continue an affordable transportation service around Waterford. If you could spend one day answering the phone at the Senior Center, and I've spent a lot of days, you would see that there are calls every single day from new people in the community reaching out to the center hoping to find transportation. In fact, over the past 2 weeks, there have been over 22 new inquiries about the transportation program.
While there is certainly no shortage of demand for the service, we know that the number of Waterford residents needing the service is only going to increase. We do appreciate that the township has reached out to the Waterford School District and attempted to put something together to keep the buses running. And I will say that you threw out a $48,000 shortage number, and you and I have talked about the fact that you have that number now. We do not have that number. We have not been able to get the numbers on what is the actual shortage for the bus system in Waterford. It's very frustrating to know that we have buses, we have drivers, we have a dispatcher, and we have passengers, but nobody's willing to step up to keep the program running. So if you live in Waterford and you probably know somebody who uses the buses or the service, we just want the citizens of Waterford and the Township Board and the residents, we need them to understand how critical these services are to our Waterford residents, and we remain hopeful. So, do you have any questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Chris? Now, you've heard that the bus service was to end on June 30th, 2018. I was told the reason they cut it back to 3 days a week was just to state it, get the cost down so they could carry it out longer. That's
Well, I don't believe that anybody's told us that.
Okay. Okay, and that's, I mean, you and I obviously have talked on more than one occasion.
Right.
And so you know it was spelled Schumacher on the sheet too.
I saw that.
There's a girl I went to junior high school with that was spelled like that, and she was Schumacher, so there's a.
Well, Sue and I made the arrangements over the phone, so it's a legitimate mistake.
In this state forward Shoemaker. But again, it's just, I said, we hear different stories and stuff. The bottom line is we put a lot of time into this.
I know you have.
We're working on it, and again, they said, I talked to budget people and the board members, we talked about it, and we'll continue talking about it. I said, trying to find, like I said, but the revenue just isn't there. And the numbers that I was given as far as, like they said, where the money came from, the funding and stuff, it was about 48,000 in the red. And again, they figured if they cut back, they could eliminate some of that because, you know, one thing about the school district, everybody that works there part-time, full-time, they're in the state pension fund, and there's 38 cents on every payroll dollar follows that and goes to the state pension fund. So the less money you pay them, the less money you have to pay in, but at the same time, the less service you get. So that's,
Right.
the two go hand in hand.
Well, we cut back from 4 drivers to 3 drivers, and from 5 days to 3 days. But unless somebody that's in the audience tonight knows better than I do, and I don't think they do, the service is going to end next month.
Okay. That one driver that you had there, I know him personally, I've known him for a long time. He probably makes up for that driver they let go. He probably just hauls twice as much.
That could be, would depend on the driver.
He would give it all he's got, I know that, so, but, okay. So, yeah, and again, like I said, the last I heard is they cut back to extend the program. I don't know if it was just to extend it till June 30th, I didn't get a date, so.
That's my understanding.
Okay, so you had, in the meetings we had, if you come up with any numbers any different than that?
No, nope, I am not.
No. Okay. So, yeah, I haven't heard anything any different than they cut back about days of service and one driver to extend it out for a longer period of time, so.
Not long enough.
Yeah, unless it's forever, and it's not long enough, so.
Right.
No.
So thank you.
Thank you, Chris, appreciate it. Sir, we'll open it up to the public at the end of the agenda for people to speak.
Okay.
Yes, you'll have the opportunity to speak, yes, sir.
All right.
Okay, next up, we have the consent agenda. Is there anything in the consent agenda anybody wants removed prior to presenting it? Okay. We've got April 23rd, 2018 meeting minutes, May 2nd, 2018 special town hall meeting minutes, May 7, 2018, special meeting, board meeting minutes. May 14th, today bill payment. DPW April 2018 report. Fire Department's April 2018 report. Library's March 2018 report. Police Department's 2018 first quarter report. Parks and Recreation March 2018 report. Treasurer's Office March 2018 report. On the Zoning Board of Appeals, reappointment of Gary Craik and Todd Hoffman to 3-year terms. Planning Commission, reappointment of Matthew Ray to a 3-year term. Banner permit for the Waterford Senior Center and a banner permit for Waterford Parks and Recreation.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Any further discussion? This involves bill payments, so it's a roll call vote.
Birch,
Yes.
Wall,
Yes?
Bartolotta,
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Joliet,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Healy, absent.
Okay, next up is the board liaison reports. Tony, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'll go through real quick. Names, we had a plan commission meeting. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 concept plan reviews that we approved. We had discussion with Remy Jonah from Jonah Companies, explaining what they want to do on the corner of M59 and Huron Road, and it sounds pretty good. And I'll give you an update after our next planning commission meeting, but I believe he's going to request a special meeting because he wants to get moving on this project.
The corner of M59 and
The Harwood corner up there.
Telegraph.
Okay, what did I say?
You said you're on it, M59.
Yeah, that's going to be, that's the corner that we developed. And his plan's going to be very, very, very nice. It's going to be a nice addition to the township. There's a gateway coming into the town that we asked him to do, and he's very receptive to doing everything we asked. So hopefully next month I can give you another report on the progress is over there.
Did he mention, did you utilize that most recently oversized entranceway to that one building? Is he going to utilize that or?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Steve?
Cable Commission, nothing to report, but I do have a meeting tomorrow night.
Margaret?
Nothing to report.
Okay, Waterford Historical Society Log Cabin Day this year will be Sunday, June 24th, Fish Hatchery Park on Hatchery Road, right where the Clinton River crosses Hatchery Road. That will be from noon to 5 p.m. So if you're out and about, stop in and enjoy our wonderful historic village here, remembering the yesteryear Waterford.
Nothing to report?
AJ?
Waterford participates along with Highland Township in the County Initiative Tech 248. Myself, I'm the representative from Waterford, along with Marie Hasworth, the director of the chamber. And Highland held the event at Hoffman Farms out in Highland, and it was on car connectivity. It was very well attended. We had about 70 people come across to all over Oakland County to come out that far. So that was a good PR for Waterford. I have a zoning board meeting and a nature center meeting tomorrow night, so nothing to report on those.
Okay. Under old business, the resolution approving ballot language and hearing dates for possible police and fire departments special assessment. We have received the 2018 taxable values and are updating the revenue to the current modified numbers that we received in the first part of this year. You can go to the township website, put in special, what's that? Special search fund?
Special assessment.
Special assessment field. Type in your address. Modern technology.
See the key is special.
There you go.
This will be worth the wait, really.
Or you can get your tax bill out and use a calculator like I did, and it was done quicker than this.
So on this page is the fact sheet right here, But right here, you can put in your address. Click on continue, and it tells exactly what it will cost for your address.
That number's for a year, correct?
That's for the
Yes.
first year of the special assessment. So, I make a motion that we adopt the revised resolution approving the ballot language and hearing dates for possible police and fire department special assessment.
I support.
Any further discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Camilleri, yes. Joliet?
Yes.
Birch?
Yes.
Healy, absent. Bartolotta?
Yes.
Wall?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Under new business, we have the deputy assessor position.
I'll make a motion to approve the part-time deputy assessor position. Support.
Any further discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Birch?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wall?
Yes.
Bartolotta?
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Joliet?
Yes.
Healy, absent.
Okay, next is the grade and step correction for the township deputy clerk.
I'll make a motion to approve the grade and step correction for deputy clerk.
I'll support.
Everybody get a chance to read that? Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Joliet?
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Bartolotta?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Birch?
Yes.
Wall?
Yes. Next up, we have the Moog agreement between Oakland County and Waterford Township.
I'll make a motion to approve the move agreement between Oakland County and Waterford Township.
Support.
Any further discussion?
Just for people's information, this is enabling Waterford Township to participate in a grant that is handled through Oakland County, and it helps pay for the overtime for our narcotics enforcement team officer. Free money.
He's very, very good at what he does. He generates a lot of revenue for Waterford Township and gets dope dealers off the street, so it works in many wonderful ways.
And I think people would need to understand goes into a drug forfeiture fund, which buys police cars, equipment, and stuff like that, which we don't have to take out of the general fund, so it's a win-win for us.
Yep, yeah, there's nothing negative to be found in it, nothing. Anybody else? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Birch?
Yes.
Wall?
Yes.
Joliet?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Bartolotta?
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Healy, absent.
Next up, we have a resolution to help defray legal costs in Menard Incorporated versus the City of Escanaba Dark Store litigation.
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution to help defray the legal costs in the Menard versus City of Escanaba dark store litigation.
I'll support.
This is something through MTA and the Oakland County Association of Township Supervisors. It's very complicated, I won't get into depth, but basically vacant stores and restrictions they have against them to limit what kind of people can move into those stores and what they can be open for business further makes them less marketable, drives the cost down, and in turn they want to reduce the assessment. Well, our assessing department doesn't deal that way. They do with, similar properties in the area and what they're worth and what the value is. Obviously, they're worth less vacant than they are occupied, but at the same time, this drives it down the point. So rather than every municipality fighting this, and it probably would cost more than what we're contributing just to file a case in court against this. So we decided that, again, the OCATS, the Oakland County Association of Township Supervisors, which is 21 strong, everybody decided to pony up some money, send up to Escanaba, and just basically one and done and over with. So we have a bunch bunch of vacant big box stores in Waterford Township down at the corner of Telegraph and Elizabeth Lake Road. The last thing I want to give is any of them an excuse to appeal their property values any less than what they already are. This is a roll call vote.
Joliet,
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Thomas,
Yes.
Birch,
Yes.
Wall,
Yes.
Bartlett.
Yes.
Okay, next up we have the capital improvement project. At our 51st District Court, I should have added that.
Good evening, good evening. My name is Jennifer Tom, and I'm here on behalf of the 51st District Court to discuss the capital improvement project that we've got slated. Just to give everyone a little bit of the backstory, back in 2013, a report conducted by the National Legal Aid and Defender Association ranked Michigan 44th nationally in its spending on indigent defense. This ranking was not a shining moment for Michigan. Needless to say, legislation was quickly introduced to remedy the matter. Back in 2013, Governor Snyder signed the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission Act into law, which called for the creation of a Michigan Indigent Defense Commission tasked with creating and enforcing minimum standards of legal representation throughout Michigan. Back in the spring of 2017, the first 4 standards were passed, those being counsel of first appearance, confidential space for attorneys to meet with their clients, educational standards, and expenditures for expert witnesses in private investigation. Those were approved by Laura, and funding units and courts had 180 days to prepare and submit a comprehensive compliance plan. Lou and I worked together along with Derek and Barb from the budget department and submitted that plan. I'm pleased to report that it was approved lock, stock, and barrel earlier in April. The problem that the court has run into is that we're ill-equipped to achieve compliance with the private confidential meeting space for our in-custody clients. Back as we began to prepare this plan and put it into action, I began working with Hugo Cardenas from the DPW and exploring the costs of building modifications to create a private and secure meeting place. Back in the early fall of 2017, we reached out to, or Hugo reached out to, 4 vendors: Grennan Construction, Hunt Construction, New Homes Creation, and Walter Pytek and Company to solicit proposal. Grennan and Hunt Construction did not respond to our project outreach. However, on multiple occasions, we were fortunate enough to meet with New Creation Homes and Walter P. and Company. They came to the court to review and discuss the most practical, secure, and efficient location and approach for building modification. Prior to providing an actual written quote, Walter Pytek and Company rescinded their interest in submitting a written proposal, citing that they had too much other business, more profitable, on their hands. I attached with my memorandum the lone written proposal submitted by New Creation Homes dated September 15, 2017. I now call upon my handsome assistant, my son Drew, to come. I did meet with New Creation Homes today. They were out a couple of weeks ago to draw up some actual architectural plans, and it is a revised cost associated with the project, as I understand from Mr. Zolke, who indicated to me earlier today that he would make himself available if need be. The additional costs are associated with the extension of the wall to achieve ADA compliance, some electrical work, ceiling grids, and the relocation of some heating registers. So the estimated project cost now has gone from $26,180 to $29,180. It is the collective opinion of the township and court officials that we have exercised our due diligence during the search process. Furthermore, given the current market conditions that we are facing in the construction industry and rising material costs, that any further delay in the commencement will likely result in the township having to incur higher costs. As such, we're here to respectfully request the Township Board exercise its authority to waive the RFP process on this project and approve the lowest proposal received by New Creation Homes. I'm ready to answer any questions you may have as they relate to the project.
Does anybody have any questions?
I would just like to say, this is something that we've talked about, we've budgeted for it, and the reason you're here today is you are having difficulty meeting the procurement policy requirement that you go for sealed bids because there are so few people interested in the job. It is our policy, we do have the right to waive that policy under circumstances we feel calls for that. So I would just like to make a motion to waive the requirement for a sealed bid on this and go ahead with the single proposal that you received.
Support.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments? We talked just a short while back there. I was looking the first quarter of 2018. Construction costs were going up. I called New Creation Homes, and again, we let it out to 4 people, only 1 person responded. And the longer we wait, the higher the price is going to go, because it is, and construction business is booming. I understand people are busy, but we just saw a $3,000 jump, and it's continuing to go up, so I think we need to jump on this sooner than later to save money and get the project done for the necessity of it too. So.
And I indicated the lines that we wanted to move from. Obviously, there's the additional 3,000 that came about today. I'm sure Derek is printing back there, so I'll submit a follow-up email to everyone. Should you approve that, taking care of the housekeeping of those lines and that movement.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, this is your roll call vote.
Thomas.
Yes.
Bartolotta.
Yes.
Joliet.
Yes.
Birch.
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Wall.
Yes.
Ely, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have the liquor license transfer 7726 Cooley Lake Road.
Make a motion that we approve the liquor license transfer for 7726 Cooley Lake Road.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Birch.
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Thomas.
Yes.
Joliet.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Bartolotta.
Yes.
Ely, absent.
Next up, we have a citizen to address the board. Kay Green.
Hi, good. My name is Kathy Green. I live on Shoreview Drive. I have 2 issues I'd like to address the board with tonight. The first one is small. It's concerning my neighborhood. And Steve lives in my neighborhood, and I see that my association president is also here. We have a problem where we have many, many people who use our neighborhood as a cut-through to avoid the light at Voorhees and 59. This has been going on for a long time. We have contacted the road commission, and they've done a study and determined that there's not excess traffic in our neighborhood, which I don't necessarily agree with, because a lot of these people, all these people who are coming through, they don't live in the neighborhood, they're visiting people, but it is a public road, and of course anybody's allowed to drive on that, so there's not much we can do about that. I think the main issue is the way they cut through our neighborhood. They speed, and I see Steve nodding, I know Tom is nodding. They speed through there like crazy. Our neighborhood does not have sidewalks. This is a time when people are coming home, they're taking their dogs for a walk, they're taking their families, their babies out in strollers, and all these cars are just flying through our neighborhood. Last year, we had one of those speed checking machines placed in our neighborhood. It was placed on Steve Street. It was only there a few days, and it was placed in the wrong direction, so I don't believe they've got any information that would help. We have had people drive up on lawns as they're whipping up the Woodbine curve. Sadly, that was a resident, but my mailbox was knocked down and left aside. I've seen cars pass other cars on the side street to further their way home. I've timed it. It's about 75 or 80 seconds is what you're going to get when you cut through our neighborhood. I've been given the finger when I'm out with my dog, and I just kind of like, can you slow down? And I get the finger, and they whip right by me. So we who live in this small neighborhood are at a loss as to what to do. We don't know who to turn to. So I'm kind of looking to you to help us maybe entice the police that during rush hour, if they're able, I know they're busy, that maybe they could come and just sit in our neighborhood and start to ticket these offenders. We have a big blind curve down the main thoroughway to get 50 to 59. Turning left on 59 from our street is a nightmare. And so they're just plowing through all the traffic, and we just don't know what to do. So I'm looking to you to see if you can help.
Can I just add one more thing? Okay, the street that I live on, Elsinore, about a year ago, we have a lot of children on our street.
Absolutely.
The school bus was dropping the children off about 3 doors down from my house. A car came off of Voorhees and literally passed the school bus, which is basically a violation. And this happens so much. I mean, I can't believe our street has such an easy radius to get off, and people just fly up our street. And I'm out there with my dog, and I'm telling them to slow down, and they look at me and say, speed limit is 25. It's, you know what? That's too fast.
It is.
But it is. It's an inconvenience for our neighborhood, and we need to have something done.
When you go towards the blind curve, where on the other side there are a few families with children and they're out playing, the speed limit is 15, and nobody pays attention to it. We're lucky that it's only been a mailbox, a lawn, you know, that's been hurt. But you know, my fear is that somebody's going to be seriously hurt here. So, yes.
Okay, have you asked road commission, what have you asked them?
We've asked them to determine if there's an inordinate amount of traffic in our neighborhood.
I'm assuming the traffic's going north on Voorhees during rush hour. Is there a sign saying no left turn from
No,
Voorhees?
there isn't.
Yep.
I mean, that is an option which I think would upset a lot of the residents there because they can't turn left. So, I mean, if that's the only option, it's something that our association needs to think about. But I don't know if you can ask the police if they could just do that.
You just did.
I did.
Our police chief is here tonight. The two agencies you spoke about that have ability to help you, the road commission for Oakland County, and basically what they do is post no through traffic signs. But again, it's a public road, who's through traffic, who isn't.
Right,
So
and
next time
everybody,
you pull into somebody's driveway, go up and knock on the door, I got the wrong house, you get in and you go, it wasn't through traffic, I mean, but there's ways around everything. And again, the old saying, there's no cure for stupid. Anybody who blows through a school bus with red lights on with kids out there shouldn't have a driver's license. They shouldn't. It just, that is our number one priority in life, is to protect our young. We have to. We don't have options here. We have to do that. They can't protect themselves, so we have to protect them. And somebody that does that, again, it's just, it's unbelievable. But then again, how many buses do we have dropping off at the same time every day around the country? You can't monitor all of them.
no, I understand that.
Hope every once in a while we catch somebody and they stick them in the highest fine they can possibly get and make them pay every penny of it.
Well, we're hoping that the police presence and maybe a few fines might deter some of the speeders in our neighborhood.
Okay, so the chief taking notice, so you will have, again, like I said, yep, okay.
Okay, so before we leave this subject on Voorhees, as you're approaching Telegraph, there are several neighborhood streets there that we're
You
dealing
can't
with
turn
the same.
right in the
You
morning.
can't right between
That's
certain
Pontiac.
hours.
Yeah, that is
I know,
Pontiac.
it's Pontiac, but that solution would work for you. Not, you can't turn right there ever, but don't turn right during rush hour, and that would cut down on a lot of the traffic. That would be worth approaching the road commission to see if they would put the signs up.
We can discuss that at our next association.
What's the procedure for the road commission? Just ask them, or do you have to, I don't know. what-
I think you have to beg.
Yeah.
Yes, the road commission, they do a study. A lot of times we get requests from people buying stop signs in their neighborhoods. The road commission they do a traffic study and they monitor how many cars come through there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then, like I said, we have our police department. But it's been my experience, you put a patrol car over there, people slow down.
That's what we're.
That's the old one, the patrol car leaves and they speed back up again. So I mean, it's just, again, it's just, you know, it's a fact of life.
We're stumped. We don't know what to
It
do.
is, but at the same time, we'll do what we can do to help us out. And again, like I said, continue with your next meeting, what options you might have to deal with the road commission, and don't ever give up, stick with it.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next thing I'd like to discuss is the single hauler trash situation. I know that Peggy Simon came here in February and brought this up to the board, which was almost 3 months ago. And the public has really not heard any response from the board as to what steps they're taking. I believe that you talked about it at a work session that I wasn't able to attend to. I've been waiting for the minutes of that meeting to go on your website. As I understood it, it was supposed to be on within 5 days. This is April 23rd, and it's not on there yet, so I'm hoping. But that's one way to keep us informed about what's going on. I called a few of the companies that service Waterford, and the cost to a resident in Waterford ranges anywhere from $174, and this is from a local company that gives a neighborhood discount, anywhere up to $488. The big three, Waste Management, Advanced, and GFL, charge between $358 and $488 for 1 year of service. We're assuming that a single hauler can give us a much, much better deal. We've been pulling this up on, we've been posting this on social media, and we have many, many people who support this. Excuse me. We do have some who don't, and so I started to kind of get a log of what their complaints were to see if the advantage of going to a single hauler or the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. A lot of people are concerned about price gouging and a monopoly. In my opinion, the three main carriers we have their own little monopoly. They charge a crazy amount. We're one of the only communities that I know of that does this. Everybody else has a single hauler. And I don't understand why we don't. I know in 1998 there was a vote put out and it was rejected. But that was 20 years ago. In the meantime, and you've heard all this, our roads are in bad shape. And I am not an expert on triple axle and quad axles and what trucks do and weight, but it can't be good for our roads. As the pothole in front of my house increases, as these trucks fly by, they shake my house. On Tuesday, we have 3 companies in our neighborhood. It's a nightmare. It's insane. They're concerned about being locked in and getting bad service. They're concerned about a contract and then them raising the rates. A lot of people just want the right to hire and fire. They don't want their right taken away to choose who they want to pick up their garbage. And this is garbage. We're not asking that we have one lawn care service or that we want to have one house building. We're asking that one person picks up our trash. And then people started to get a little sarcastic. Well, maybe we need only one bus driver, or one bus, and one delivery. And as I thought about it, we do. We have one bus that comes to our neighborhood. The district doesn't send 3 buses to pick up kids that go into the same school at the same time. Our UPS driver delivers to all the homes in our neighborhood. They don't send out 5 different trucks in our neighborhood on a daily basis to deliver packages. I don't understand why, we can't just move forward, and I'm hoping to get a really good report from all of you tonight, telling me what steps you have taken. One big concern was that the small companies, and there are a couple, and I'm not sure, but I believe the owner of Community Disposal is Brian Davis. He said he was going to be here. We don't want to put them out of business. I would love to see one of the smaller businesses take over. Their reviews are wonderful, their customer service is wonderful, where we get a lot more complaints on the service from the larger corporations that handle our trash. Let's see. Our roads. This would be, having one hauler would be a proactive step from the board to help our roads. It's not magically going to repair our roads, but it might help deter the deterioration of them. And I know that many of you campaigned on roads, you campaigned on light, and that this isn't the Summit Mall, but having garbage out 3 days a week, having to have these trucks roll by us, the business dumpsters that are overflowing from people dumping their garbage on it because they can't afford $460 a year. Our parks, as it was discussed in February, our parks people are dumping their garbage in our parks because they can't afford it. So we need a dependable, responsible company who's going to give us a decent price, who's going to stick to the price that they quote us, and if not, we take more bids. A lot of people don't want the government involved. They don't want this to come through our taxes. I know there are communities out there who contract with a company and the residents pay directly. That would help solve the issue of people who are snowbirds and they're gone for 6 months and they don't want to pay taxes. They only use the garbage 6 months. People have their own businesses. They take their garbage to work with them. This might help appease them. So anyway, I'm hoping Anthony, we spoke on the phone.
I knew that you were talking with the clerk, he gave us all the board members in a workshop, a little survey basically what we want to do. I think we're going to be looking more, and I'm just speaking for myself, we're looking at West Bloomfield ordinance and how they do the single trash hauler. I've been working on it since last May, but I brought it up. And we're finally, hopefully we're moving. I asked the board if we could get this thing together, maybe get our attorney to start drafting an ordinance within the next couple of weeks. We have authority to do it tomorrow if we had an ordinance together. But there's certain things that we have to do, and just discuss it with board members. We want the trash, the recycle, the compost, furniture, stuff like that. There's going to be criteria that we put out once we put it out for bid. One gentleman thinks that the mob's going to come in here and take over. Not that way. We're not going to pick one carrier. We're going to put it out for bid, and if they meet our demands and the price is right, then we'll go with the lowest bidder. But we'll also look at the credentials and what other communities are doing. I've talked to the supervisor in Commerce, West Bloomfield, White Lake, and it's something that everybody's doing. Everybody's not going to be happy about this. We're going to get some grumblings about it, but it's something I really believe, because I'm tired of looking at garbage 3 or 4 days out of the week in my neighborhood. I got, Monday through Thursday, there's garbage trucks coming in. It's just, you know what? They don't just have the garbage trucks coming up the road. There's a whole lot of other things that are doing that. But, this is the beginning to maybe clean up the light. We don't need some trash cans out.
Oh, what are my neighbors?
One day, Tuesday, tell my neighborhood to pick everything up. I'm sure there's going to be 3 or 4 trucks coming to get compost, recycle and stuff, but
it's considerably less than what we have now.
I'm hoping that we move a little quicker, sooner than later on this thing. Like I say, I brought it up last May, and there's other things that were, I don't want to say more important, but other issues that came in front of the board, and we basically put this on the back burner. But this is, my phone, my email was just blowing up today. Even when I was sitting upstairs, people were still emailing. So, consensus is people want to go to single trash hauler. And I'm for it 100%, but I don't like the idea of putting up a small business ban either, but this is a competitive world, so if you want to stay in business, you have to.
And there's no reason that he can't.
I'm getting emails about Advance, they switched over from Smith, they're not happy. Well, why are you calling me? I had no control of that. Call Advance, you don't like it? It's the United States, go to another carrier.
People who paid a year for, when it was Smith's, they paid a year worth of service. They got bills from Advance saying, now you owe us more. The year's not over, and you paid in full, but now you owe us more.
It's a different company, really.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what Advance is doing. Before they took over, we had lunch with them, and they assured us they wouldn't, no changes for 2 years. Well, there's changes now, but it's out of our control. Trustee Towns brought his bill, and he got a discount, and it's about the same.
It went up $12, but what's this? Fuel fee, recycling fee? When we had Smith's, we didn't have that.
No, we didn't. And Smith's was too expensive.
What's going to be next?
And they lessened the amount of compost bags. These companies cut off their compost on December 1st. And Advanced, the last couple of years, this has pushed it over 2 weeks so we can all get all the leaves up. Leaves are still on the trees on December 1st. Advanced was willing to pick up for 20 bags after December 1st for a $45 fee. I had 3 bags. One of my neighbors waited until after December 1st to pick up their leaves, and all winter 20 bags sat on the curb. So, we need a company who's willing to service us accordingly. We deserve that here in Waterford. I haven't heard an argument at this point yet that makes more sense than having a single. Other than, I want the right to hire and fire. I've got a lot of, no thanks, I'm good. Well, you may be good, but your neighbor, somebody sent me a video. This lady lives on a cul-de-sac with 5 houses and has 2 trucks. And they can't get through, so they back up, and you got that beep, beep, that drives you insane. The trucks made all kinds of noise. This is a cul-de-sac with 5 houses. So my house is, to get to all the other homes in my neighborhood, you have to go by my house. And it's, Tuesdays are not pleasant.
Yeah, sure, the board, we're working on it. I think we're going to pick up our speed and get this thing going. You have my number, you can call me, and
When can we expect you to start sending up requesting bids?
Well, that, you know what, I talked to the attorney that grab up an ordinance. I don't know anything about the legal.
What do you mean when you say ordinance?
Well, we're going to
Make it like law, only one, okay.
We're going to set up some rules.
Okay.
There's going to be hours to pick up. How are they going to collect? We're going to put it on the tax bill, and you're going to pay privately. There's just a lot of different things that we still have to work out. It's not going to be done tomorrow, but I sure we are working on it now at a faster pace than we were.
I hope so, because as you said, you started this on last May. Many residents spoke their opinion in February, and now it's May, and none of the public knows what we're doing, other than we spoke on the phone the other day. Otherwise, we don't know. Nobody wants to pay for get the year discount because this may change. I know communities not really extending their service in Waterford because they're afraid they're going to lose it. Many people have went to TNR who's scrambling like crazy, but I can understand their hesitation not to buy more equipment if we're going to go to a single hauler. So we're kind of in a bind up against the wall being held hostage by these giant companies, and we're not happy.
I'm different than you. I live here, I pay for service, and I want the best service at the cheapest price, so, that's what I'm working on to do for everybody else. And I can see the board is on board.
All right, well, I look forward to some updates. I do watch the board meetings at home, so it would be great if you could just kind of take a moment during your meetings every 2 weeks and let us know where you're at. Or I can just come show up, either way.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say to her?
I did call up the agenda or the minutes that are up there, and I see that we don't have the work session for the 23rd, so I will see that it gets put up there
I
tomorrow.
appreciate that, so thank you.
And just for a little assistance, when this got resurrected in May of last year, it wasn't for a single source hauler when 21st brought before us. It wasn't for single source. And then little trip down memory lane, horrific winter we had at 13-14, we had a town hall meeting about the condition of our subdivision streets. As the township supervisor, I was inundated with telephone calls with people concerned about the condition of subdivision streets. And I would say probably close to 90% of the people didn't understand how subdivision streets get fixed. And they're done through a special assessment district with the abutting property owners. Roads are there a lot of times, but you know, if it's a newer development 25, 30 years ago, the streets were already there when you moved in, but they wear out after a while, and then it's up to the property owners to pony up an equal amount of money to pay for the streets. But there was a couple of refuse haulers that sent information out and said the Waterford Township Board is at it again. And we had 380 people here that night, okay? 380 people showed up at that meeting, and I would say 99.5% of them were irate over the fact that we were trying to take away their right to choose a single source hauler. Paul Denny, who used to be on the Township Board, said many years ago, one thing I'll say about Waterford residents, they love their garbage can. Okay? But all that set aside, it was about the condition of our subdivision streets. But interject negativity and people thrive on that, and that's where it came up. We had people off the lobby, we had people standing around up and down the aisles, we had a TV screen on the aisle so people could see it. 3 hours and 50 minutes I think that meeting lasted. I was called everything but a human being that night. Geez, I survived it. But the bottom line is, since then we haven't heard much about it until Advance took over from Smith's, and all of a sudden we've been inundated with emails, threats, I mean, you name it. And again, like I said, this is a process that we're going to do, and this is nothing against our township attorney. He's a fine litigator. But bottom line is, the more work we can do on the clock, the less money you have to pay to the attorney when we turn it over to him to have to sort through what we can do, what we can't do, talk to the public. How many bags of yard waste do you want at the curb? Do you want recycling? How many garbage containers? Big item pickup, you know, there's a lot of different things that got to go on there. Plus this questionnaire that we have here for everybody to look over. It takes time, and I'm not making them excuses, but this isn't the only thing that we have going at the township right now. It's important.
I understand that, but I feel that it is important, and it's taking, I know that you are working on trying to get a special assessment through for fire, police, and we need that. I don't want to call the fire department and be told, sorry, we're out of trucks, and 2 broke down. So maybe if people weren't spending the kind of money that was being charged for trash, we may be more apt to vote, okay, I can afford $200, because I just saved $200 on my trash. And you're elected officials, you realize you're not going to make everybody happy. But it's your responsibility to do what is best for the community as a whole. And I firmly believe, and I know that the majority of the community is behind me, that's the is the best.
Okay, and again, like I said, that's a vast turnaround from what was in a public setting 4 years ago. Again, so understand, we haven't just been laying low or been intimidated by the public. It just kind of went quiet. It just went quiet. And so you understand, I know of 3 associations that summer that got together and by a majority vote got single source haulers for their subdivisions or their associations.
But all it takes is 2, 5, 7 residents to say no. I'm gonna stick, I want the right to choose mine. I don't care what the next city neighborhood does. I can afford to pay whatever I want. And we're back to having all these trucks.
No, and I understand it. And fortunately, I worked construction all my life, and it wasn't until I did some remods on my street that I actually saw the volume of garbage trucks that came down there during the day, because I wasn't there during the day when the garbage truck showed up. So, but again, On our street, 2 streets of 31 people, nobody was interested. I mean, 5 people were interested in going to a single source hauler. And again, we have a double dead end street, so the trucks come in and they back all the way down the street. The main street comes in just about midway, so they back about 500 feet down the street, get one garbage customer at the end, load it up, and then they leave again. So, but again, it just, there's a lot of arguments for it. Like I said, we have been working on it. We've been crunching numbers and talking this stuff, but again, it's just, we want to make sure we do everything right in the final decision that we make.
And I know that you have
The best
been
interest of the entire
receiving
community.
many emails. There's been people who have voiced their opinion here. Are most of them in favor? Your emails, are they getting them, please?
Yes, they are. Right. But there are people that will argue with you, and again, I'm telling you, there's a lot to be said for the silent majority and the vocal minority. And again, like that night that they were here at the meeting was 380 people, 99.5% of them. There's 73,464 residents in Waterford Township, last consensus, so 380 packs the auditorium, but it's just a blip on the population of the township. So again,
And I
but the
believe
people
they
that
were-
showed up.
You know, they were kind of fed information.
Yes, it was a site.
Right, so,
It was.
sure, they've upset them, but.
And the infrastructure's that much worse.
Yep.
Right, exactly,
It's 4 years
Conditions
worse.
have
It is.
Exactly, so, you know, it's time, and again, you're not gonna make everybody happy, but you have to make the decisions that is best for the community.
Exactly.
And again, you know, I want a pit bull, I can't have one because you made the decision, it's not safe. So I have to abide by that. I don't wanna start at stop signs, I prefer to go right through them when I know nobody's there. But it's the law, so, you know, you have to do what's right for the community, and I firmly believe that's right.
Thank you.
Before we do any other citizen comments, we did add to the agenda the liquor license for 4724 Dixie Highway.
This is a request to transfer ownership of a Class C and SDM license with Sunny Sales permit, AM and PM, and dance permit for multi-priority incorporated, Compliant LLC, located at 4724 Dixie Highway, Waterford, Michigan, Oakland County. Dance permit, Margaret. There you go.
I make a motion that we approve the transfer of the liquor license for 4724 Dixie Highway.
I'll support.
Any further discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Bartolotta.
Yes.
Birch.
Yes.
Camilleri. Yes. Joliet.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Healy absent.
Okay, now that brings us to the end of our regular agenda, and we will open it up for public comment. I'd like to remind the public that you have 3 minutes to speak. So thank you for coming up. What topic do we want to discuss first? Okay, let's start with single source trash hauler. Sure. Come on up to the podium.
I can't walk. I only got a foot. I can't walk on that ramp. I only got 1 foot.
My name is Lloyd Lewis. I am the president of Chatola Shores Civic Association, representing about, which contains about 480 homes. It's single source garbage. Carriers on our narrow street, which is less than 20 feet wide, we get double digits in terms of total trucks that go by every day. The roads, the environment, the safety, it goes on and on. But I am representing a unanimous support request from the board of directors from our association to promote the idea of single hauler. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Next. Yes, ma'am.
My name is
is Karen White. I live on Sylvan Shores Drive in Waterford, and I'm in support of the single hauler. Bloomfield Township pays $45 a quarter. That's like $180 a year. The extra money could go towards the safety, which I think is a more important topic. Trash on the streets several days per week, trucks damaging roads, there's exhaust fumes damaging the atmosphere. The bill could go to the individual homeowners. It doesn't have to go through the township. You just negotiate the contract. If they don't stick with the contract, you get somebody else who will. There are no good reasons not to switch, as far as I'm concerned. And as far as neighborhood associations doing it, I commend them for doing that, but you get a much better contract if you have the whole township taking care of it. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please hold up your hand so we know who to call up next. Yes, ma'am. You need to go to that place where there's dancing, but those steps.
I was wondering where it was.
There you go.
Exactly where it was, because, you know, we need dance facilities. Anyways, my name is Patricia Peck, and I am for single source trash pickup with a warning. You need to be very careful with that. You've got to follow the law. Make sure that you've got bids coming in, because trash pickup there are a lot of them that are connected to the mob. You know, my husband was employed by the city of Pontiac, and before he died, he could have told you a lot about garbage. And a lot of things are connected to the mob. So you need to be careful that the township is doing due diligence and getting appropriate bidding practices so that you get good service and that you get what you pay for, rather than, anyway, it's just a matter of, it needs to be done very, very carefully.
Thank you. Thank you. Next. Yes, sir.
Okay, I live at 6192 Evanston Drive. I'm David Wayne. Just to let you all know that the Youth Assistance Awards are being televised on public access. Just to let you all know. Sunday at 9:54, and Monday at 4:50 a.m., and Wednesday at 8:56 p.m. Just to let you all know that.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Kendra Klein, and I live on Howell Avenue off of Hospital Road. It's just a dead-end street, and multiple trucks go down there all the time. The road is starting to fall apart, and it's going to be this homeowners that are going to have to fix it. I am in support for a single hauler trash service. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, the other topic that we had, hold on.
Gary, do you want him to come down? He says he can't make it down there.
Can you speak from there?
Can you speak right there, sir?
Yeah, I can speak from there.
Okay.
My name is Larry Adams, and I'm a veteran of 20 years. I go to dialysis 3 times a week. If you take away the bus service, I won't have a way to get to my dialysis. My wife takes me in the morning, but then coming back, the bus brings me back.
Okay. So understand, sir, the township is not looking to take away the bus services through the Waterford School District right now, not Waterford Township. And as we said earlier, we're doing everything we can possibly do to find a way to make this continue. So
I'd even be willing to pay extra.
I understand that, and yes, and it's because of people that need it like you do that we understand that it's necessitated and it needs to go on. I have a mom that'll be 92 on the 25th of this month, and it's my sister and I and my wife and my daughter and my niece get her around to where she's got to go. But if we weren't here, she would need the bus service. So it's very near and dear to me.
Like I only got one leg, because I had it cut off a couple years ago.
Okay.
So it'd be really a godsend if I could do the bus service.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now, this is the other topic we're going to open up to now is, oh, you're still at Derby Schools. Okay, come on up. When you put your hands up, hold them up high because when you got it right at head level, it's virtually impossible to see. Does anybody want to follow her to the podium for garbage pickup? Nobody? Okay, yes, ma'am.
My name is Jacqueline Brown, and I live in Chitola Shores as well. I spoke at the meeting in February regarding the trash issues in our town, and I have been following this subject and still conducting, like some polls, and there's a lot of people still in favor, most of who I talk to. Any concerns I've seen is mostly in some of the contract details that we would need. So I'm asking for some more transparency in the process for research and development on the issue, and also what we can do as citizens to get the ball rolling and help Anthony and whoever else taking a lead on this matter.
Okay. And what we ask of the public when they send us stuff there, don't threaten us if we don't do it. Send us ideas. Do you want recycling? Do you want large curbside pickup? How many bags of yard waste do you want April 1 through December 1? That's the kind of input we need. We don't need to be threatened, or I'm not going to vote for you, or I'm not going to do this. That doesn't solve anything. You know, but if people are listening, we ask them to be positive. Send us positive information, positive feedback. We understand the whole being sentence. We understand you want to go to single source. We do. And why you want to go to single source, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And we understand all that. And I said this before. I can't think of one good reason why you won't want 3 garbage trucks in your subdivision week rather than 18 garbage trucks. And in the winter time when the roads are frozen, you only get 2. So again, there's no yard waste. But like I said, there's a lot of positive things. But again, that's one opinion of a member on the board and a resident of Waterford Township. So again, the more input we get, the positive input we get, the more we got, the more feedback we got to process between us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that said, yes, sir?
Can I speak on something else?
We want to open it up to Smart Bus next, but
Okay, go ahead.
I want to get the single source out of the way first. Does anybody else want to speak on single source? Okay, the next hot topic is Smart Bus. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Smith, but I'm speaking on behalf of my grandmother, who's 96 and lives at 1068 LaSalle Street since 1951. And the reason I'm talking about this is because this past year I had to tell her it became illegal in the state of Michigan for any people of the World War II generation to drive because she still was driving. And if you know LaSalle Street, there's her bank, there's Felice's, and then there's the drugstore. We had to take this away. And my grandmother, you have to understand, still is mad at GM because she was a Rosita Riveter. And when they kicked all the women out after the war, she still to this day gets mad about that. So she's very headstrong. You can ask the people at the senior center where she goes, which gets me to this point. It's not just for the seniors. It is respite care for us family members. It's my mother and I. Unfortunately, nobody should have to go through this. My uncle died. He's not apart. There's just the 2 of us. And my mother's had cancer. Can you imagine? My mother's 76 years old and she's trying to deal with her mother. And I'm in the middle of all that. So what I'm trying to say is my mother gets a whole day, she gets 3 days a week where she can golf and not have to worry about my grandmother who in 1 month called 911 7 times. These are things you aren't thinking about or I'm hearing about.
I guess I live over in West Bloomfield. I don't know what the big deal is about the garbage thing. If they could be as passionate about the garbage as you are about your seniors who fought for the right for you to choose which garbage company, you know what? Help us families give the break. We're willing to pay. But if you take it away, and finally on a note, what I'm hearing is there's not communication. I worked in DC. I worked on Capitol Hill. And what I'm hearing how can you make policy without fact? You do not have fact, and you're going to end something because you have no fact. And the school board and the township aren't talking. And the amount of money you're talking about is minuscule. Absolutely minuscule. There's so many different ways. If you were serious about it, sincere, because I'm going to be outside and I'm just listening. And I don't believe Waterford supports its seniors. They support the trash company. They support the trash, so I guess that's how they look at the seniors. So my grandmother, Miss Vivian, who would tell you right up to your face that she still mad at GM for kicking her out, and that she has every right to be able to get around, just like the rest of us. It's unfortunate at this age she's losing her mind. And, you know, I was gonna say, and her 98-year-old boyfriend also is still kicking around. So.
So the public understands, we're not looking to terminate the bus service. We're not, and I don't like these positions like that because we're not. We're doing everything.
There's not communication is what I'm hearing, and I continually hear that as somebody who's been a professional in this business. What I'm hearing is there's not communication. It shouldn't be this close. It shouldn't have gone down this 3 days. There should be a discussion. I mean, to lose free buses. This is almost like that's crazy.
Again, like I said, and it's not lack of communication on the township's behalf with the school district. I can tell you, when I ran for office, I couldn't believe the lack of communication, visual communication between township government and the township school district. Well, I can tell you straight up, as your township supervisor, I have bent over backwards to communicate and work with the Waterford School District. I went through it K through 12. I spent every minute of my life, other than when I was on vacation, as a resident of Waterford Township. And not to get anybody's hopes up, I'm going to die here. I'm going to be here forever. I care about this, and like you said, I got a 92-year-old mother. I care about her too, but as again, we're doing what we can, but everything comes at a price. And there's accountability for financing in government that you have to be able to account to. So we want to make sure we make the right moves. We don't jump into it one year and then find out the next year, holy cow, we didn't cover ourselves. So we're doing our due diligence. But the bottom line is we have to find the funding sources to make it happen. This wasn't ours. It was the school districts. They're the ones that opted out of it, or looking to opt out of it and told, but we're looking to make it work. So again, it takes time. We're working on it and we're trying to do everything we can. So, yes, ma'am.
What I'd like to know, I'm going to talk from here.
Okay.
What I would like to know, do we have to go to the school board?
Yes.
We're giving them millage. So, in other words, we're going to have to fight the school board and keep our buses.
Again, and I've asked, and I know people have called me, I'll say, why are you calling the Waterford Township Supervisor's Office? Because I just called the school district and they told me to. And these are people that I've known all my life that wouldn't make these stories up. So.
I will bring this up.
Yes.
I have an autistic grandson, nonverbal, 13 years old. They changed the supervisor for his transportation. He's an idiot. Because half the time they don't even pick up my grandson. She stops and then just keeps going. She doesn't even give him the 3 minutes. So, if we have to fight the school board, let us know so we can go fight the school board.
You do need to take it to the school board. That you do, yes.
When is their next meeting?
Thursday.
This Thursday?
This Thursday, the school board meeting is this Thursday, right here at Town Hall.
Okay. Is there any way we can get the seniors here again?
You got a lot of energy, so I believe you can make that happen.
All my life, I had a son with dyslexia. Nobody wanted to give me books on tape. Believe me, I got them. But not only for my son, for every kid that had a problem. So I'm a fighter, yes.
Yes.
And I would love to take on the school board.
Could you tell us your name, please?
Linda Henderson.
Linda Henderson. Thank you, Linda. Yeah, but again, like I said, if you want to take this, and like I said, we're working on it, and our Parks and Rec director, she's here, and, excuse me, our Parks and Rec superintendent is here, and she's working on it with us too. So we have several people working on this, but again, it takes time, and we want to make sure we do it once and do it right. So.
Well, I'm pleased that you're fighting for it. I don't have a problem with that. I just want to get the right people to give me black eye.
Right. There you go.
Okay?
Yep.
But I also need a support system from this group.
Yep.
I have to have somebody else walking and listening.
Yep.
Because they're gonna look at me like I'm an idiot. And if I get the guy that's overhead of transportation, I'm sorry, I might be in jail.
Police chief here. I think he can give you a get out of jail free card one time.
I didn't get right behind her, so you might want to get two of those. Yeah.
Okay. Come up, ma'am.
I'm gonna write stuff down because I already wasn't really planning on coming all the way up here, but I wanted to come to you from a different perspective.
I need your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sean Thrower. I'm also a Waterford alumni. I graduated from Waterford, Vermont, 1983. A little disgusted with what I'm hearing about the Waterford School District right about now because I am a product of Waterford. I'm a retired state police officer, and it kind of disgusts me that Waterford School District is acting like they are. And I'm with her. I will be here Thursday also to address the issue. I'm here more on a personal level. My parents have lived here for over 40 years. I find myself back in Waterford after being all over the state. The state police doesn't have any particular place to put you. They put you as further away as you can from your home. So I ended up back in Waterford anyway, taking care of my mom who has Parkinson's and has had Parkinson's for several years. If you know anything about the disease, it's a very
Take your time.
It's a very debilitating disease that affects the person's rigidity. And it's very important that Parkinson's people that have Parkinson's, get a lot of movement, exercise. They really have to be on the go. And my mom goes to the Waterford Senior Center and gets picked up by the buses. And she looks forward to it. This is part of her weekly routine. She looks forward to seeing her friends. She looks forward to those bus drivers' smiling faces. And one particular one even says, when you ask him how good of a day he's having, he said, every day's a holiday. Every day's a holiday. I wish it was. My sister and I take care of my mom 24/7. And I think the lady that was just speaking also, it is respite. It is respite. It's not just respite for us, but it's respite for my mom, so she don't have to look at my ugly face every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But she gets to go to the center these 3 days. She has such a great time. The people there are phenomenal. They take very good care of her. They love her like their own, and we couldn't ask for better respite, if you will. They do exercises with her, which helps. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, for me, that's a price. We can't put a price on that. I know that you are in quite a situation with the deficit. Although we started hearing about it, I don't know about everybody else, but I didn't start hearing about it until a month ago that Waterford's in this deficit and we're not going to have a bus. So we're all, I'm in an uproar. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to think. I find out that we're going to have a board meeting and here I am. And I'm not going to sit and repeat that. I know my time is up here, but I just wanted to let you know that this is very important, and I really appreciate all the effort that you guys are putting into it. We will be here to address the board, and I know he said to her that we need to protect our young kids, and I raised 11 of them. I got 2 left at home, and I'm on the downside, and I hate to see if, these people want to do this, or all of these seniors here, what are they saying about the seniors? What are they saying, that they're not worth anything anymore? I beg to differ.
You said this. You said the state police had you all over the state of Michigan. Were you ever in the Keweenaw Peninsula, November through May?
No, sir. Never been in the UP.
Could have been worse.
Thank you. Thank the Lord for that.
Thank you.
We spoke on the phone, Sam Grayson. I started to write a petition on the smart bus. The name of the gentleman of the school board who is opposed to the bus. Do you have his name?
Pardon me?
The name of the gentleman on the school board who is opposed to the smart bus.
That's opposed to it. I don't know of anybody in particular that's opposed to it, but they said, I was told tonight that it's going away.
Okay.
I was told by Bill Holbrook, School District CPA, that they downsized from 5 days to 3, 4 drivers to 3, to extend it out.
Is it elected position?
School board is an elected position, yes, sir.
Okay.
Erin Asdale, 3326 Main Rat, Waterford, lifelong resident. I'd like to clarify first that the buses have not been reduced to 3 days, Mr. Wall. They have been reduced Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have 2 buses, and Tuesday and Thursday we only have 1 bus. So that reduction was put in place, yes, to try and stretch the budget as long as the school district could. But the one thing I would like to clarify is that the SMART contracts go first to Waterford Township, and then they are, the services are then carried out to the Waterford School District. So there's been probably not the best communication between the 2 groups over the years. But in the past, Waterford Township was able to subsidize the Waterford School District transportation system to the tune of $100,000. And that ended probably 12 to 13 years ago and was reduced to $40,000. So if you think of $40,000 for 10 years, that's $400,000. So if the school district has the mission to educate K through 12, they have been willing for the good benefit of the seniors and of the population of Waterford and the community to operate the buses, because they are operating buses, large buses. So to take over the SMART was not a huge stretch for them at the time, with the support then from the township. As the township tax revenues shrunk during the recession and the money stopped, it's no wonder that it's finally catching up to the Waterford School District. I hate to see this service end. It will impact our community terribly. And to tell people to go yell at the school board, I don't think is the right thing. I think their mission is K through 12 education. I don't think it's right for people to call the supervisor and yell at him about it. I would just like to see something come together. We had some very intelligent people here from the SMART system who want to help. Their advocate, Madonna Van Guysen, has been an amazing advocate, and I think if we all come to the table, we can resolve this issue, hopefully before the end of June for our residents. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you, everyone, respectfully.
Number 1, for now on, rather than going to it's a school district, I'll contact the senior center to get accurate numbers. Okay, I will. Again, and number 2, who told the people to go holler at the school board?
I don't know, but...
We told them to take their complaints to the school board, and didn't tell anybody to holler at anybody.
Well, it kind of felt like there was some hollering that was going to happen on Thursday. And we'd really like to prevent that. I think there needs to be an attitude of gratitude for what's been done for the last 40 years through the Waterford school system for the township, for the care of these seniors in Waterford, who are a big voting part, and again, who have established so many fine things in our community. And we are so grateful for our older adults. And I am one now. I just turned 60. So respectfully, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Cartier. I live in Waterford. For 9 years, I have used the bus service to get to and from work. I don't drive, like many others who use this bus service to meet their needs, such as doctor's appointment, kidney dialysis, and grocery stores. If we were to lose this service, it would create a hardship for many others in Waterford. Many seniors and other disabled depend on it. Other areas such as Independent Township, White Lake, all provide this service for their citizens, and Waterford needs to continue to provide it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know the news was going to be here. I'm not presentable, so please don't put me on the news. Anyway, my name is Dawn Enoch, and I want to say something positive about how the bus has truly helped me. You're looking at a miracle. I had a stroke. I went blind. I had 2 emergency corneal transplants. I had to literally learn how to do everything all over. My bus, I call it the happy bus, because when I go to the bus, I tell everybody, you have a lot to be grateful for. I couldn't talk. I couldn't walk. The drivers were so sensitive. When I first started riding the bus, they had to come to the door and help me. I couldn't walk. They made sure I got to all of my appointments on time. And when I tell you I'm a miracle to be standing here, I literally died. And to be able to be in front of you all talking is a miracle within itself. And to focus on the positive, it will only trigger my PTSD. So I have to think about the positive that the bus services have provided for me. And as a result, when I couldn't talk or see to do any of those things, my neurologist suggested either get to crossword puzzles or anything that would activate the mind. Only thing that I could understand at the time was watching the Coupon Extreme show. That's all my brain could connect to. As I got into it, I mastered it. I've been honored for my ministry. And had it not been for the bus service getting me to my medical appointments, I know I would have died. So getting to the neurologist, getting to the eye transplant, and if they didn't hear from me, well, they're checking on me. Where are you? We need to know, are you okay? So every time there was something special, I made them gift bags to show appreciation. I thank you for your job. I thank you for going the extra mile to help me and to be able to talk. If you would have met when I first had my stroke, it was like, people say I'm a comedian. I'm not a comedian. I just say stuff and it may come out funny. They used to call me the woman who sounded like a drunk Vietnamese because I couldn't talk. And I had to laugh at it to keep from crying. You go in any store around here, ask for no dog. Stores are supporting me now. And when you mentioned something about how Waterford was acknowledged for giving away food, everything that I coupon for, I give it away. Because I know what it's like not having food, not having anything. So my prayer is, because I believe in God and I trust Him, my prayer is that something is resolved to keep the bus system so other people have testimonies like me. You take it away. And I know that you said they're not trying to take it away. But whatever they can do to keep it, to make it more effective, you will have more miracles standing in front of you like I am.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank the board for listening to all your citizens tonight. It was very informative, and I appreciate you listening to them. That being said, I was sad and disappointed by the absence of any board member. My first officer should be my name, right?
Yes, thank you.
Larry Spees, 186 Hickory Lane. I was sad and disappointed by the absence of any of the board members attending an informational meeting of the Waterford Refugee Welcoming Alliance that was held at the Christ Lutheran Church on Sunday, April 29th. Here was a chance for you to listen to and speak with our American Muslim neighbors. This was a great opportunity to help build bridges to create understanding and discuss concerns in our community instead of putting up a wall to spread fear and ignorance. Thank you.
How was that? I don't remember getting no email or phone call about that meeting.
I was with the understanding that Reverend Nagel had sent out an email to all board members about that. So if you didn't get it, I'm sorry, but I had the understanding that all of you were given information about that. So.
I'm not saying that I attended, but I just didn't get,
I did get an email. I did.
I didn't get one too, and I thought it was addressed to trustees in general.
Maybe I got one, I just blew it off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Fitzgerald. I live at 2821 Huntington Park Drive here in the fabled city of Waterford. Yes, I'm a graduate of Waterford Kettering High School. Waterford Township? Waterford Township.
You said city of Waterford.
Oh, worse. Thank you, Gary. And yes, I did graduate from this Waterford Kettering 69 before there was a Mont. And yes, I am a member of the Waterford Senior Center. I'm also one of the volunteers that delivers the Meals on Wheels, and tragically, I'm also one of the bus drivers who's right now up in limbo, not about to sure what's going to happen to us. I'm retired from the Army. I don't have a problem, but I have an awful lot of friends out there that are about to get beat up, and they're all afraid. Please don't let my friends get beat up. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
I emailed, my name is Scott Tovey. My name is Scott Tovey, 1355 Whispering Woods. I sent you guys an email. I suspect you didn't get it, but I did have an idea on a solution. That is to ask businesses in the community to help subsidize the senior center and the bus service. And in exchange, they would receive plaques that they can post in their locations, stating that they have supported the bus service for the given year. That is one way of being able to solve the deficit without levying a tax.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Elizabeth Huran. I reside at Lakeland Place Apartments.
very simply, I've had a wonderful 4 years and change here in Waterford, been able to get involved in a lot of activities. If, however, we lose transportation, I will have to go someplace where I can get transportation and leave a lot of good things and a lot of good friends behind, and I'm not the only one in that position. And Waterford is going to lose some citizens that are, I mean, everywhere I shop is in Waterford. Every activity I take part in is in Waterford, and I hate to lose that, but if we lose transportation, I lose a home I'm very happy in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Candy, and I live at 5727 Prentice, and I take the Smart Bus back and forth from work. And I've been at Kroger's going on 10 years in May 22nd, and I hope the bus will be back. Will be around for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name is Brian Ozego. I live at 1284 North Kansas Lake Road. I'm here to support everybody here. I'm sorry, but my wife uses the bus. She needs the bus very much as I work to support us. Without the bus, she would not be able to get anywhere around. So I'm looking for a little compassion for everybody that's in this room to support their system so they can get their rights when they need to go. That's all I have to say. I'm just very disappointed in this whole process. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name is Jules Rura. I'm a 14-year volunteer for the Senior Center. What I'd like to see is, I don't hear any figures on what it costs the township, and I can't get anything from the school board as to what their cost is for putting these buses and keeping them running. Is there any way that we could set up some sort of meeting with the supervisor and maybe someone from the school board? Because I don't realize that they know how important the loss of this bus service is. We handle like over 6,000 people a year use the system, and I don't know what it's costing us. If we could get some sort of meeting where we get two people at the table, some from the school board, some from the township. I don't know what your responsibility is or your cost is, and I'd like to find that out. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody else? Okay, is there anybody on the board that has anything they would like to say?
I'd like to say something. You know, I don't like feeling like the bad guy up here, and I feel for the citizens out there. I really believe this is a service that we need to continue. When it comes down to one thing for the board, we got so much money, so what do? Do I cut out of the police department, the fire department, I take away from Parks and Rec? And when I only got $100 in my bank account, I can't take away, I can't take from Peter to give the pause, so we as a board have to look over the priorities for the citizens of the township. I mean, my God, I'd love to be able to keep this thing going, but we just, if we don't have the funds, we don't have the funds. So as a community, The gentleman had a good idea, you know, go around the businesses. Who's gonna do it? You gonna do it? Are you gonna do this year after year after year to keep it going until we get some more money? Do we raise taxes? There's just a lot of unanswered questions here. So, you know, I'd be more willing to listen to anybody's ideas, but, you know, as a board, there's only so much money in the pot that goes around. And we have to, as a board, we have to remember what our priorities are. And it's, you know, public safety is one of our big priorities, and a lot of our money goes to public safety. So what do we cut? And I don't mean to stare at you talking, but you're very, very passionate.
I apologize for the fact that you are not talking, even House and Senate, they have a consensus group that comes together on bills. All I'm hearing is none of you are talking with each other, and there's not any consensus that is building as to what is, and our numbers. And you can't wait this late to come out and make the policy. You're just like, oh, whatever. And all I hear are egos up there. There's no Harry Trumans in either the township or in the school board. Where are my Harry Trumans?
And you know, I can't get a great good argument, and I don't believe there's good communication between the school board and the school district and the township. I think what the supervisor said, he has been over there trying to have communication with, but it's not a two-way street. You know, so the will be people that works for the school district that argue that point. You know, I'm seeing no school board members here tonight, or no school employees here tonight to argue this thing. So I don't know. I say that we are doing everything we can, but we only have so much money.
And you know, the congressman is retiring, which means their funds, their treasury fund, their funds have to go to nonprofits. So you have an opportunity, regardless of, I don't know, all your D's and R's up there, but you should be seeking out those people in your party who have to retire their congressional, but have to retire their campaign finance. Because that money has to go to nonprofits once they're done.
Now, hold on, not to be rude, but you had your 3 minutes earlier. He's supposed to be addressing the crowd, he's not addressing you, he's not attacking you. So it's time for the board members to speak. The public had their chance, they spoke, and I brought it back to the board, so the board's going to speak now. Thank you.
You know, I'd just like to make one more comment about the township board going after money from people in Washington. Well, you know what? It should be from the state representatives doing it. 4 of us are part-time. I have a job, a full-time job. I have a family. I don't have time to be calling Dave Trott up and stuff like that. I don't know if our state reps or state senators are falling short on it, but we all have lives here too. But we're trying, the point is we're trying to make the best of what we have. We're trying to stretch our dollars as far as we can. And trust me, we are stretching a dollar and trying to get $1.10 out of it, and it is just, it's almost impossible. So, bottom line is, what are our priorities as a township board? You know, public safety is very, very important. I can't take $20,000 from the fire department, 20 from the police department, and take another 20 from Parks and Rec. Somebody's going to be mad at us about this. But yes, I'd like to see this come up. So, as citizens, get it cleared away. Go start knocking on doors of businesses and see if you want to do this campaign. It's a big job, you know, but is this a service that needs to be done? I just don't really have the answer. Our budget people say we don't have it. What do you want us, how do you want us to get this money? What should I take? Who should I cut out? You know, and I just we're not up here to say no to you, but we just have to say no. We have no other alternative. So, you know, I feel good. I heard some sad stories today. I feel like crying. So, what do we do? How do we fix this? Everybody's saying that the service needs to be done, but nobody's giving the board any direction. Which way should we go? That's all I can say.
Sue?
I would like to just say that this was news to us too. It's very short notice that this was ending. These things take a little while to put together. We have met with the other communities in the area who have services. We're trying to put together some sort of consortium. Allison in Parks and Rec has been in contact with these people. We are actively looking for a way to keep this thing going. And we are hoping that it will be done in time, but things do take time to put together. So know that we recognize how important this is, and we want to keep it. We hope we can get it done before the school district pulls out of the service, but, you know, things just take a little longer sometimes than you would hope.
I concur with Kirk Camilleri that this door is not closed, and we are working through it, and I appreciate everyone's comments that come out here tonight. And Allison has worked very diligently on communication to try to bring us some solutions, and we had Smart Bus present tonight. So we are still actively working and looking at this problem.
I'd like to make a suggestion to everybody out here in the audience. Contact your state representatives and ask them to explain the state revenue sharing debacle that we have. It is so out of balance right now. Detroit gets over $200 million in state revenue sharing to spread the wealth to other communities like ours. Do that, call them. Thank you.
Aaron, not to put you on the spot, and I mean this in a positive way, you are a wealth of information. Is Smart Bus ending June 30th, 2018?
To our knowledge, yes, unless there is a new contract signed.
Okay. And as she pointed out, it is a joint venue between the township, I've seen the paperwork, and the school district. And again, the school district's operated the bus service through the senior center for 40 years?
I don't know how long the smart system has been. I would say it's not been 40 years.
Okay. Okay, I saw a 45-year shirt up here.
That's how long the school district has been operating.
The senior
center, not the smart system.
Okay, okay, but again, like I said, it's been a joint. And yes, the township did used to put $100,000 into it over a decade ago, but as the budget people attest and the piggyback off what Steve just said, state revenue sharing dropped 33%. You know, it just, the bottom fell out of it, and there was no money there. If you don't have it, you can't give it. And if you do give it, you're in trouble. So, and what we try to look at is revenue, never one-time revenue. It's got to be sustainable revenue that comes in every year. You know, sometimes we get rebates and stuff, but we put them into one-time items. Asphalt repaving, sidewalk repairs, something that's going to last 20, 25, 30 years. You don't want to do something one year and then not have the money come back the next year and be able to cancel it. So we're looking for sustainable revenue to support this. And again, what I did say earlier about protecting our children, my life's hero, my dad preached to me when he was 75 years old, saying our job is to take care of the young and the old. The rest of us in between can take care of ourselves. So at 75, he didn't feel old, but that's the bottom line. It is a responsibility to take care of the young and the old, because those are the people with the most limitations, and it's up to us in between. But I can tell you right now, I'm a whole lot closer to old than I am young. So, but again, so I understand, and I have seniors in my family. I do have seniors in my family. I've got a mother-in-law here, and I got a mom that lives in this community. And again, they're dependent on their children. So it happens, but I know some people don't have children and they need this. And again, we are taking this very seriously, and we are addressing this very seriously. But again, bottom line is, we got to have the funding to fund it. I know it doesn't sound like a big deal. That $48,000 deficit they came up with, between 40 and 100,000 is 60 grand. We'd be 12 grand ahead if we still had that money with the other revenue sources, but we don't have it. It's not there. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you or lead you to believe that it's going to all be a bed of roses tomorrow morning when you wake up. That's not the case. But again, we are working on it. And again, not knocking or being a smart aleck. If this is the only thing we had to work on, it had been done by now. But again, there's a lot of stuff, and every day, drive through here 7:30, 8 o'clock at night and see if you see a red pickup in the parking lot with a WKH 72 plate on it. That's my truck. There's a lot more nights I'm here after 8 than I'm gone before 8. And I typically get here to 7:30 every morning. I take this job seriously. I take our community seriously. I devote my job as a full-time supervisor and will till the day I retire or you vote me out of office. I take this seriously, and we're gonna find a result for this. Again, it's going out to getting sponsors from businesses in the community. It's a great idea, but that's not sustainable. Next year, you decide not to sponsor, and you're right back to where you were before. So it's a good idea. It might help supplement it, but it's not gonna be the solution to the problem unless we need these people to commit to like a 10-year agreement or something. So we have to have sustainable revenue down the road to make this happen. So again, you've been wonderful, man. You've been very cordial. You've made a lot of good, eye-opening comments here. And again, this young lady over here that said she had a stroke, I can only imagine what you were like in your younger days. You still got a lot of energy, man. Keep it up. Thank you. Hold on a second, please.
I would like to make a motion to consider confidential township attorney-client privileged opinion correspondence regarding the Lawrence M. Clark Incorporated arbitration, and to include Louis Farino and Russ Williams in the closed session.
I'll support.
Any further discussion?
I need a second. Support.
Any further discussion? 3 hours. 5 hours on this.
Bartolotta. Thomas. Birch. Wall.
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Joliet, yes. I would like to also make a second motion to consider a confidential attorney-client privileged case evaluation in the matter of the Charter Township of Waterford versus McCaw.
Any further discussion on this? We get a second.
Joliet. Yes. Camilleri, yes. Wall. Birch. Thomas. Yes. Bartolotta.
Okay, when we return from closed session, we may be voting on an issue discussed in closed session, and at that time, we will adjourn the meeting.
It's 9:05?
I would like to make a motion to authorize the township attorney to proceed with the recommendation provided to the board in closed session regarding the case evaluation in the matter of McCaw versus the Charter Township of Waterford et al.
Support. There will be no further discussion on that because we can't talk what we talked about in closed session, so this is a roll call.
Okay, Bartolotta.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Birch.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Camilleri, yes. Joliet.
Yes.
Healy, absent.
What was that old song? I looked at the clock, it was 9:05, man, I didn't know if I was dead or alive. I didn't know.
Really?
Okay,
That's serious now.
let's close this.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Any further discussion? There never is. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous.
We're still here.
Yeah, I got you, John.
Thanks for talking to me on my record.